I was going to segue into it. Do we have time? Yeah. I was going to segue into it, but I'm going to put that out on Twitter about you guys going nuts. And maybe I scared you all by saying, don't ask me any questions I've been asked before. You asked me some great questions tonight. But one of the questions that I thought we were going to talk about is somebody would say, is there any advice you can give me as an actor or as a writer? And I know there are a lot of people out there that talk about it and dream about it. And trust me, sometimes I tell long stories, but it'll get to the applause. I hope. I just want to say that, first off, there's a great book that you should read if you love acting and you love writing, if you love anything that you care about that you want to do in your life. And it's by Rilke, R-I-L-K-E. It's a sort of a Bible for actors. It's called Letters to a Young Poet. And it's a series of letters that a young poet wrote to Rilke and asked him, do you think my poems are any good? And Rilke, in this one letter, paraphrasing, sorry, but he wrote to him saying, you ask me if I think your poetry is any good. You have asked others. I beg of you, stop doing that. Stop asking others if I think your work is any good. Ask yourself, must I write? Must I write? So when I read that book, I go, must I act? Must I be a doctor? Must I be a lawyer? Must I do anything, any dream that you have about what you want to do in your life? Ask yourself, must I do it? If the answer comes back, yes, then live your life in accordance with that dream or that goal. And what I think he was writing about was what I was just saying. Don't do something because you're going to make money at it. Don't do it because you're going to be famous. Do it because you absolutely have to. Because trust me, being an actor, it took 20 years for me to get my break with Prison Break. It may not have happened. And it would have been very sad for me to, after 20 years, to say, you know what, I'm going to give up. And I felt that I had something in me, but I didn't know when and how it would come out. And I survived, I lived, I paid my bills by acting, but it was always a struggle. And if I hadn't been in it for the right reasons, I would have lost it. I would have blown my brains out probably. Or I would have been very sad and been on antidepressants for the rest of my life because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, because I didn't have the goal in mind the right way. The second thing that I want to say is that about anybody who wants to pursue something that they feel is a dream is don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Don't give up. Keep dreaming and keep going. A lot of your pictures that I wrote on, I say follow your dreams or follow your goals, especially the younger kids. I would write that on the pictures. It's really important to hear that. And I remember when I was in New York, when I moved from Chicago to New York, and there's a thing called the Ross Reports, which in it gives all the agencies that you could leave your picture, that you could try to reach in order for them to take you on as a client. And all the Ross Reports listings for agencies said, do not leave your picture and resume. Do not leave it. So what did I do? I put on my rollerblades and I skated to all those agencies that I thought maybe were good, and I left my picture and resume. And one of them called me out of 100. That was my first agency. Everything led to something else. So I kept my first agent. And then I thought the next thing that's really important that I learned to do was when you get an audition, when you have something that you want to show somebody your work, your product, prepare, do the work, ask yourself, ask your subconscious, what would I do that's very specifically me for this part? Not what Robert De Niro would do, or James Dean would do, or Marilyn Monroe would do, or Meryl Streep would do. Not imitate those people, but be yourself. That's the trickiest thing with acting. It's the easiest thing once you learn how to do that, how to learn to get in touch with your subconscious. But once you've got that understanding, acting is easy. Because all you have to do is say, they may like me, and they may not, but I'm going to give you what I feel is me. Within the confines of that character. Not everything in me I could put into Teabag. Teabag, one small part of me was Teabag, but I could imagine all these other parts. So, the other thing that I remember is Woody Allen said, when somebody asked Woody Allen once, how do you get a job? And he said, show up on time. And it's kind of true, because I know when I'm on time, it makes the producers happy. It makes the casting directors happy. It makes the directors happy. If I'm not on time, they're watching their watch while I'm doing my audition. I'm going into the audition going, all I'm thinking about is, damn it, I was late. Oh, I was late. I wish I hadn't been late. Instead of my audition. So then the next bit of it was, so I get this job. Now what do I do? And one of the things I learned on my first job I told you was Star Trek. That was on television, but my first job was on a movie directed by the legendary great Blake Edwards, who did Days of Wine and Roses, all the Pink Panther movies, 10, Victor Victoria, beautiful, beautiful movies. And the movie starred Julie Andrews and Jack Lemmon. And they were gifts, I feel, to be those two giants, to be acting with Mary Poppins and, you know, Maria from Sound of Music, and the amazing Jack Lemmon. It was such a joy to work with them because they had so much. And the lesson that I've always learned as an actor is when you have a lot to give, you should give a lot to other people. The sign of success for a person, and no matter what career they decide to do, is their ability to give to other people. Instead of being an asshole. Instead of being an actor that says, I'm not coming out of my trailer. You know what? I didn't get that water just the right temperature, and I'm not coming out of my trailer. That's bullshit. Once you have success, and even if you don't have the biggest success in the world, the more you can give, the better. And I think that one of the greatest lessons in life and in acting I ever learned was that there is responsibility. It's the old cliche, with great power comes great responsibility. When I was 25 years old, 30 years ago, I was fortunate to be in a company in America called the Actors Theater Louisville, which is in Kentucky. And that summer that I was with them, I was in an exposition of theater that any city in the world could have bought. And that exhibition was about American theater. It was about specifically New York theater, Broadway, but then something very specific to America, which is a regional, what we call a regional theater, which Actors Theater Louisville was one. And within that exhibition, people would learn how a regional theater is run, and then within that part of the exhibition was a tent. And within that tent were live plays that were done. And I was lucky to be one of the actors in this troupe of actors. And Cluj, Romania was the town that I came to. So 30 years ago, at 25 years of age, a very young, very green, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, actor, was with this company that came to your country. And on the first night that we were here, we were guests of Ceausescu at the opening night of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at your National Theater. And your lead actor played Chief. I don't know if you know the movie or not. You might probably know the movie. There's a very, very famous scene where Chief pulls, it's all these crazy, insane people, right? And they just want to break out. And Chief takes this sink from the wall. He pulls this sink, this huge sink, and he's this huge man, and he pulls the sink out of the wall. And he picks up the sink, and he throws it through the window. And all of these crazy people escape through that window. I was in the first row of the balcony. At the moment that he threw that sink through the window, the audience started clapping. And they didn't clap like you did. They clapped in a very measured way. And if you would, please, right now, I wish you could bring back a memory for me. If you could clap like I see and remember in Russians, the Russians do it, clap, clap. The audience, the music slow, and it's soft, very strong and measured. In the audience, all you're gonna make me cry. Okay, but that kept going for about 5 minutes, and lining the theater down below were these pimply-faced, like 16, 17-year-old kids carrying AK-47s, looking nervously around, because your country in 1985 had 4 more years before the powder keg blew, before the roof blew off, and you shot him and his wife dead. But in 1985, it was the tension, those of you who are alive know, it was unbelievable. And as a young American, to come here and to witness that, to see that there was absolutely nothing these soldiers could do because it was all disguised as a metaphor, the sense of wanting to be free. 4 years later, you had a revolution. And that applause changed. Last night I met a lot of you at this party, and I've met a lot of you this weekend. And two sweet ladies that I met last night, I was thinking about when I was thinking about this today, and I don't mean to embarrass either of you, but it's great for this story. One said, "I'm so tall. I'm sorry I'm so tall. I don't want to be so tall." And hello, you're right there. And another sweet lady said, "I'm very shy. I'm very shy." And one, right there, hello. And what I want to say to you both, and I want to say to everyone in this audience, is that it's okay to feel that way. It's okay. And it's a very humble feeling to say that. But what that man did when he pulled that sink out of the wall and he threw that sink out the window, and what 1,100 people did of paying for their lives in 1989 so that you could stand tall and that you could be shy but also let yourself shine, was exactly what I do as an actor. I'm nervous as shit right now. I'm nervous as hell. I'm crying inside because it was such an emotional thing for me, and it took such responsibility for that man. He could have been shot on the spot, but he didn't, and he wasn't. And he took that sink, and what I'm saying to you is when you say, "I want to do something," do it. Because your country, more than any other country I know in very recent history, people died for you to be able to stand tall. And for you to say, "Yes, I'm shy, but I'm going to fight through it." And I, as an actor, do that every day. And thank you, from the bottom of my heart, 30 years later, to come back to your country and to hear you applaud like crazy instead of going boom, boom, boom. You have that freedom now, and I'm saying, carry that freedom on and go crazy when you applaud. And congratulations on you making that choice to go on with your lives.